Right, I tell you what I want to take as my good point, and this is like a simple angle for me, which is I actually think for real that with the current world we live in now, people almost have figured out how to ruin every fucking player with hype. I actually warned about this. I'm setting this up to make it interesting where I'm going with this one. I actually literally on this show, Maui, warned months and months and months ago, I think it was at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, people not to overhype. Because, bro, I can't even believe it. The joke is this should be like hot take point made. It'd be blowing some people's minds. Are you ready for what my good point is? You know that guy. You know that guy Donk. He's actually like insanely fucking good at CS. Like how that could even be like a point, I don't know. Because, bro, this is getting mad now. Like every time this guy, this is like the meme of like what people think people hate on sports athletes. For real, unless Donk posts like literally the best stats ever in every game, people act like maybe he's sus though. Is he for real though? It's like, mate, I would just go the other way. The reason why I know this guy is like one of the most insane eye test players that will ever play any version of esports, by the way. Fuck even Counter-Strike. Is because this is what I would challenge you to do, guys. If you think he at all sucks, only watch the bad games he had. Go and look up on HLTV, either when his team lost, barely ever happened, or when he had those 1 or 2 maps that were not that great stats. Bro, in the games where he's bad, this is how you know he's impossibly good, Davey. Because he has that thing that sports stars have, where I think when you have like insane skill level, a similar way of like laterally thinking about how insane they are is, some players are so good in hockey or basketball, bro, their misses are like as good as some people's goals, if you know what I mean. Like they're just like their technique's so insane. You know, like the idea is they go for some insane shot that just and you just think by some of the misses, like, bro, if that's like a miss to this guy, no, what he's cracked out, like it's the best player I've ever seen. So even though it might sound like an obvious one, like I actually think people now have managed to make Donk, they themselves overhyped him after one event. Then they're like dragging him down already. I don't get it, because I have to say, like, I don't blame this guy for any of the Spirit results. I think he's just cracked out of his mind. Like, for real, I actually do think it's sad, because normally I want to be the one like, well, calm down there, Fuse, you don't know what you're talking about. No, it's the other way around. I have seen every single player that ever played top-level Counter-Strike. This guy, for real, is like, just in terms of all Counter-Strike ever, he's probably like top 5 talent level ever. It's like actually impossible how good this player is. Come on, boys. Jump in. It's a glazing session.
Go on, Alex.
Well, I would just say that before, because I feel like we were on a little bit of a hype train for Monacy for best player of the year. I'd say right now it's Donk. Donk is, if I had to make awards today for vote who's the best player of the year, I would give it to Donk over Monacy, who I would then give over ZywOo. I would say ZywOo's third, because ZywOo's pop-off was at Pro League, and Monacy did it at some of the bigger events, and he looked really good in them. Donk, I mean, highest rating ever at a LAN, period. You know, higher, even breaking Nico's. Like, if you actually get to the third or the thousandths place in terms of decimals, he beat Nico's ESL 1 New York rating, actually. I mean, just to say some stuff about Donk, like in terms of micro ability and mechanics, like this guy has mastered CS2 in a way that, like, this is why I get really pissed off when I watch Falcons, because it's like, you guys just aren't all using the little mechanics that make people that extra 5%, 10% better, because Donk has mastered the way that your model moves in certain cases to make you harder to hit. His spray is unbelievably good. Just the way he peeks things, always, like, he knows that peeking into the angle is always stronger. Like basically, I see so many like pros that are kind of a little bit, I guess I'll just say they're like a little bit more washed today. Like in CSGO versus CS2, it felt so good in CSGO. If you have the perfect crosshair placement, I've seen this same peak so many times. I'm gonna like nail this guy every single time. 1D, 1D, 1D. In CS2, it just, for whatever reason, it just feels a bit harder to be as consistent because of, I don't know if it's movement speed or how the model shifts or anything like that, but it just feels better to be the peaker even more now than it used to in CSGO, and Donk knows that. Like, you never really see Donk take a fight where it's actually like he's just stationary. Like, he's never just stationary when he's actually fighting, whereas I see people like basically, it's almost like if you weighed APM, which is a stat that you never really would have cared about in any version of Counter-Strike, to my knowledge. In CS2, I actually think APM is a relevant skill, because you should be pressing A, like you should be pressing A, crouch, uncrouch, D, crouch, slide. Like, you should be doing all these little extra things with your fingers when you're playing the game. And in CSGO, you just didn't have to. If you had good crosshair placement, you could statically hold, and then you would hit the headshot, and you'd move on with your life. But Donk does all these extra little things things that I just don't see anybody doing it. And I don't know if this guy's going to get carpal tunnels in like 5 years, but that's the only thing that's going to take him down right now because nobody as a player is doing it.
No, yeah, I put out a thing a little while ago saying like, listen, I know like lots of players get overhyped a lot, but just from watching Donk play, when the eye test just says this guy is going to be the best rifler we've ever seen in Counter-Strike. That like the eye test just says that, because when you think about the fact that he's 17, in theory he can only get better, and it's like, how can he possibly get better? I can't think of ways that he can get better, but logically he should get better than he is right now. Which is just insane to think about. I remember I casted one of the CCT finals. I think it was their first online finals, and it was Spirit up against Virtus Pro on Overpass. And on CT side, the Virtus Pro was just sitting and waiting until 15 seconds left in the round, and just wait for Donk to push A, because he's going to reaggress somewhere in bathrooms, and they kept killing him. And he finished the half like 4-11 or something like that. And VP ended up winning in the final. And I was like, oh, so that's how you stop Donk then. You just get a team like Virtus Pro and you just wait for him. The next time they played on Overpass, Donk did the same thing, but he farmed them instead. And I was like, oh, so he just learned now. He just learned, oh, they're going to do this. So now I'll know that they're waiting for me, and I'll just go kill them because I know where they are. They're waiting for me. Perfect. You know what I mean? Like,
also, by the way, that's even scarier, Dave. He's the only person ever that played VP once and leveled up. Everyone else is still falling for those fucking tricks 10 years later.
Yeah, it was insane. I was watching it. I was like, wow. I thought okay, so this is the donk counter, and I was like, oh, no, it's not actually. There isn't the donk counter. The donk counter is, we don't know yet. I don't know. Throw a bunch of nades at him. Get 18 Astralis out here and just find out where Donk plays every round and throw 4 HEs at it, because you don't want to fight him. I don't know. So yeah, he's unbelievable. Watching him play is just incredible. Actually, it was one of those ones where I'm just like, wow, like this is truly like I've never like as far as the movement thing goes, Alex, the player he reminds me of from back in the day where that was the case was Brax. Actually, Brax didn't have the macro or obviously Donk is better than Brax was, but Brax was doing things movement wise in CS:GO that nobody had been doing yet. Like even with those like elbow jiggle peaks, players weren't doing stuff like that until Brax started doing those little mini movements, and Donk is doing a lot of the same thing. Like there is no wasted movement. When he's going around the map, where he's putting his crosshair, where he's moving around, there's nothing wasted there. It's very much like prime Nico-esque, when like those famous Deagle rounds where he moves himself perfectly in every position for each shot that he wants to take, and Donk does that just like every round and just farms everyone. It's unbelievable. I love watching him. I really do. It's such a unique thing, because for the past however many years, the closest player to that level of dominance over the past like 4 or 5 years would be like Rops and Nico, maybe, in terms of riflers. Everyone else has been oppers. So to have this rifler come in and outperform the oppers, I think part of that is the change from CS:GO to CS2, because CS2 obviously opping is just a little bit harder. But yeah, I think just having a rifler do that is unique, and I'm here for it.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.